So
Yeah.
how did you guys get started? Like, what made you guys want to start doing this?
Well, I mean, we both collected as kids, but as you get older, things happen, life happens. So it's probably up until high school, senior years when I stopped collecting. Then, like I said, college, women, you know, getting married, kids. So you kind of put that in the back burner. But like 2 years ago, I'm just chilling in my crib, and you keep hearing about, it's the pandemic, but you keep hearing about the cards and record sales. It was just like in the news all the time, and I'm like, man, I used to collect cards. I got some. I wonder if I got anything good. So I was like, man, let me check it out. I was hosting a baptism party, and then I see my brother. He was here, and I was like, hey, man, I got some cards. He's like, bro, I keep hearing about it in the news. I'm like, well, let's see if I got anything. So I start pulling out these cards, not having any idea, haven't checked these things in over 30 years. I'm 47 now. So I'm just looking at them, got some Jordans, got some Barclays, nice old, 80s, 90s cards. So I'm like, okay, these got to be worth something. So then I start going on Google, putting the cards in. Next thing you know, prices are popping up $8,000, $10,000, 12. I'm like, holy crap. I'm like, dude, I'm looking at my brother like, dude, I'm paid, dude. Like, these are the same exact cards. And, they're not graded or anything, but that's what the prices are showing. So I have no idea. I've been out of the game for so long. So I'm thinking this is true. So a buddy of mine, because I'm a mailman, so he really collects cards. He's been, collecting his whole life. So I was like, hey, I got some cards I want you to look at. He's like, yeah, bring them into the station. So I bring him into the station, and I had him in the binder, the classic binder with the
Sure.
the 9-card sleeves.
Yeah.
So I'm showing him all my Jordans. I'm real excited. I'm thinking, yeah, man, I got this good. He's not ready for this. I got all of them, all the Jordans, all the Barclays, any kind of rookie card I got from the 90s. And he's looking through it. He's like, shaking his head. And then he's done. I said, so what do you think? He's like, yeah, not bad. I was like, yeah, I know. Look. He's like, but that's about worth, I think, $18. I was like, $18. Come on, man. I was like, I was just looking online, and I saw that card right there, that Magic Johnson card, same card they're selling for $8,000. He's like, that's what people are asking. He goes, if you go to the sold, what it actually sold for, you're gonna see a totally different thing. I'm like, what are you talking about? He's like, go to eBay, do this, check it out, and that's what that price of the card is, not what they're asking. Those are the predators online. They're looking, and they'll put anything out there. So people like you who have no idea would think that card's worth it, and they might get lucky, and they're just throwing it out there and seeing if I can reel somebody in.
Yeah.
So I was like, still in my mind, I'm thinking, I was like, yeah, he's a baseball collector. He doesn't collect basketball. I was huge into basketball. I said, he doesn't know what he's talking about. There's no way. I got something here. So I went home, kind of pissed off. I let him talk. And then when I got home, I started really doing some investigation into it. Turns out he was right. It was the quote unquote junk wax, which are the cards that were overproduced in the 90s. Everybody and their mom had them. That's, the heyday with Michael Jordan. So, everybody's collecting just to collect, not really having any idea, or doing any type of investment with it. And again, there's some cards that from the 90s that are worth stuff. It's just the ones that I had weren't.
Right.
So like I said, I went down the rabbit hole, and then, man, once I figured it all out, I started collecting. I'm sneaking, cards into my house. My wife has no idea what I'm doing. Nobody knows what I'm doing. I'm just going on eBay or going to some shows, trying to do what I can do to get these cards on the down low, because these things cost money, because I'm like, all right, I got money now. I'm an adult. I got some money I can spend. I'm going to do it right. So now I'm like, I'm making it rain. You know what I mean? I'm like, wow. And I'm getting some real nice cards. My wife has no idea. And like, I'm a mailman. So I have my mailman hooking me up that does my route. I'm like, dude, do not take that to my house. Let me know. I'll go right to your case. Like, give it to me and we're good. I don't need my wife getting my business, because if she knew how much I was spending on these cards, I'm donezo. So here I am collecting these cards, and I'm like, man, this is cool, but I need a partner. I need somebody that I can share this with, because coming down here in my man cave and hiding from my wife, it can only last so long. I need somebody that I can actually say, listen, this is what I'm doing. So, it's actually what we were watching a Sixers game, right?
Yep.
And basically, Embiid, Sixers are going. And I grab some of my Julius Erving's cards and my Barkley cards, and I take pictures of them. I send it over in a group text to my cousins, including Tony. And Tony's like, "What's this?" I said, "These are the cards I've been collecting." He's like, "Man, you're full of crap." I'm like, dude, I'm serious. I'm collecting these cards." He's like, "Yo, you got those off of Google Images. Stop playing. These ain't real." I said, "Dude, these are real. I've been collecting." And he's like, "Nah." And then I said, "Yo, you should collect with me." He's like, "Nah, that's a Ponzi scheme." I was like, "Dude, that's not a Ponzi scheme." I said, "Look, I've been doing a lot of research. Why don't you go ahead and join me and we can figure it out." And then I'll let Tony go from there.
Yeah, so basically, he he kind of it's funny because I didn't believe him, and then he finally did. We always tell the story. He sends me a picture of him holding the card. He's down there on his pool table, laying down, boxers. I'm like, all right, that's a little too risque. I didn't really ask for all that, but I was like, okay, I believe you, I believe you. So fast forward, he kind of was just, it's like he'd always kind of keep tabs, and then finally I was like, you know what, all right, let's see. Now that, again, like, it's crazy because when we're kids, like he said, we just collect. We didn't know there's levels to this card game. There's the regular cards that you could buy at Walmart, and then there's the good cards that, if you don't know which ones are the good ones, a lot of people, they go to the store and they pick up a pack and they think they have $1 million card, and come to find out, yeah, it's a million. There's a million of those. That's not the one. So
Right.
yeah, and so fast forward, I finally got in and started collecting. We're a lot more educated now, and we're still the card thing, that's all ever evolving. There's peaks and valleys. There's all kinds of things that you can do wrong. But fast forward, then we get to it's like, you know what, let's start a podcast to talk about the things that we're going through, and so we talk about our journey on our podcast, and things that we did right, things that we done wrong. Like, we just had an episode. I was down in the dumps and Oz had to talk me off the ledge. So I was like, man, this thing is stupid.
Yeah.
But no,
Yeah.
it's fun. Once you get past and you're educated a little bit, it can be a really fun thing.
Yeah, that's
So-
awesome.
So Oz, how many years then was it between? And sorry if you said it, but like between you kind of getting back into it and you all starting the podcast.
Oh, shoot. Okay, like I said, I graduated in 1993. So 93 till 2 years ago. So it's been a hot minute since I collected cards. Like I said, I just put them away. I had a little blue box and I saved the cards and I just had them in the back where I keep all my storage, and then brought them out and then went from there. Just like I said, started collecting on my own. And then, like Tony said, we were just messing around because a buddy of ours was actually doing a podcast, and I remember he said, "Oh, I'm gonna do a podcast," and we're like, "Yeah, okay, whatever." Next thing you know, he's doing his podcast, and I'm like, thinking to myself, "Man, this ain't gonna last. This dude's crazy. What's he gonna talk? What, sports? Everybody talks sports, like how good is that gonna be? So I'm kind of hating on him, and then meanwhile, in the back of my mind, I'm thinking, well, you know what, maybe I'm listening to all these podcasts that they're doing as far as sports cards, and they're cool, but I'm like, man, we could do that. Maybe we can even do a little bit better. I was like, yo, Tone, what the hell? Why not? And I said, Tone, listen, as far as the technical side, I said, I'm gonna leave that all to you, editing, all that crap. I said, but as far as, knowledge and all that, I'll try to, because he was just getting into it. So I said, I'll be that, and we'll just talk about our journey. And, here we are, it's crazy. We're going on 50 episodes, which, to some that might not seem a lot, but, to us, just being family guys and working and, pushing out this content, you guys would know, it takes a lot of time and a lot of effort. You got to be creative, and, to have any kind of voice in the hobby, you really got to know what you're doing. So it's definitely, it's a labor of love. We're not getting paid anything for it. We do it because we love it. But it's fun as hell.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, it looks really cool too, because you've already interviewed a lot of folks yourself and been able to connect either with people like collecting the same cards that you are, kind of in other areas too. So I don't were you always planning on discussing and meeting with other kind of card collectors for the podcast, or did that kind of evolve?
Yeah, it was kind of yes and no. Yes, we talked about most of the content around cards is driven by its value-based content, where guys just talk about, oh, this card is $5 today and it's $10 tomorrow, and now it's 30 cents. So most of that, the content you consume is kind of that. For us, we kind of looked at it like, to me, honestly, it's boring. It's boring to me. Yeah, nothing against the people who do that. It's just, to me, it's boring. Okay, like I said, I always say, if I want to go to, it's been a while since I've been in school, math class, I'm good with all that. So cards, there's a couple of different ways. You can collect to collect, or you can collect to as an investment, however you want to do it. So, and then people have stories, how did you get that card? Where did it come from? What does it mean to you? So to us, it was a lot more of that kind of we gravitated toward, as opposed to what does Ja Morant's card do, week to week. I can tell you, if I turn on, if he's playing good, the card is up. If he's not playing well, the card is down. It doesn't take a genius to
crazy.
figure that out. So, but yeah, so eventually we used to just talk about us at first, but I'm like, you know what? There's people out here that we didn't. I mean, Oz has been collecting longer than I, but still, like, we still don't know everything. We're never going to know everything. I was like, man, there's people out there that have millions of stories, and whether they have a big following online or not, it doesn't matter. We just kind of started searching out collectors, and it's evolved into talking to collectors, content creators, all kinds of stuff. And we've met tons of great people, and that's what the cards are more about. It's the relationships you build and the people you meet, and it all based off of cards. So
it's this right here, meeting you guys.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So it didn't really start out that way, but it's most of our episodes are interview episodes, because at the end of the day, we're still learning, and who better to talk to than people who are collecting cards?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, sure.
So you guys are mainly like in it for the collection, not like the worth of the card, if I'm hearing you guys correct. Or
yeah, I mean, when we first started, listen, don't get me wrong, everybody wants to make money,
right?
So when I got into it, I'm thinking I got something, then I realized I don't. So then it's like, okay, I'm gonna start investing, not just collecting what I like. I want to invest in these cards for not so much right now, but later on down the line.
Yeah.
And even give something. I have, 2 daughters and my wife. So God forbid I pass, I leave a little something for them that, hopefully would be worth some money later on down the road. But it like I said, it's become where now that's back burner stuff. I'm getting stuff. I'm doing this as a release. It's an escape from everyday life. Not even, I don't want to say escape from the family or my wife, but every man needs a little bit of time to breathe, to just relax and to recalculate. And these cards, these little pieces of cardboard, of men or of characters, there's like Black Adam. The movie just came out. This is his quote unquote rookie card.
Yeah.
I don't know if you guys remember, you might not know, I don't know, Happy Days with the Fonzie.
Yeah.
No, I'm a young buck.
Yeah, you're a young buck.
Just too young for all of us.
Yeah, I'm
all
only,
right.
I'm
So
only
this gentleman right here, all right, this is Henry Winkler, and you may know him from what is that, the Water Boy? He was the coach.
Oh, I know him.
Yeah, but back in the day, this was the coolest man alive. This was the Fonz. And, if you ever did watch an episode of Happy Days, he was the pimp of all pimps. He would just roll into Arnold's, which was the, local diner there, and everybody would hang out. He'd have a harem of women around his arms. He would go to the jukebox. He wouldn't put a quarter in. He would just hit it, and the music would come on, whatever one that he wanted to. He would snap his fingers. He was magic. You know what I mean? It was just crazy what this guy could do and how cool he was. So growing up, he was like one of my idols. So I just picked this up. I was just on a trip to New York. Tony didn't even see this yet, but I just picked that up. It's a Henry Winkler auto. I thought that was pretty cool. And then truly my main guy is Michael Jackson.
Oh yeah.
So this is a Gem Mint 10 card of his. So
That's
I love
awesome.
to collect. Yeah. So it's now, like I said, it's not we've had, the Michael Jordan rookie. We went into that card. That was the main thing when Tony and I got together. We're like, listen, we got to make a splash. If we're going to get, start a podcast and start talking about cars, we got to be legit. And I'm like thinking to myself, well, what's more legit than getting in the Michael Jordan rookie card, the 86 Fleer, the most iconic card pretty much in the hobby. So Tony and we met a gentleman, and we were able to, purchase one and get it graded. And that kind of started our journey. So, but again, it really just comes back to now for me, it's just about having fun, man.
That's awesome. Now, I like what you said about like every man needs to have their escape. Like mine personally is fishing.
There you go.
I like hunting, but I fish more. And it's just the peace, coming home from work, getting away from the girlfriend, there's nothing better than those birds chirping and that line hitting the water. It's just therapy for me. So
yeah. And there's nothing wrong with that. You know, a lot of guys, they try to be too macho. Listen, there's nothing wrong with admitting you need some. Everybody, every human being needs a little bit of therapy every now and then.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
So I'm curious, and again, we mentioned John's too young to kind of remember that early '90s kind of trading heyday, but that was my time as well. And so I remember going to like card shows and just all the excitement. We're close to the Braves. I was into baseball, so you could get autographs and all the like. But how has it changed aside from probably just where you're at socioeconomically to what you can afford? But how has it changed from like when you first got into cards to now, like the whole scene?
Yeah, the main thing is well, the numbers are astronomical now, and also the hobby in general. That's what people, you always hear people refer to it as the hobby, not card collecting. They call it the hobby, like if no other hobby exists. But the market in general is a lot more educated. So when Oz refers to that junk wax era, which is in the 90s when things were overproduced, it's still happening today. Yeah, don't think that it's not, because the companies are just churning out product. But for the most part, the people in the hobby are more knowledgeable, and they're like, what, I'm not going to buy that stuff. I'm going to try and gravitate towards the stuff that's more limited and something that maybe will hold value long term, as opposed to, again, the stuff that I can pick up at Walmart and open the pack and everybody has it. It's not very special, and in the long run, you just probably end up throwing it away. Yeah. And then and then the hobby itself, it's also now you have online, you have all kinds of stuff where you can reach. I mean, we're doing this today. We talk to people. We just did an interview with a guy in California. That was tough to do back in the day. You couldn't, if you wanted to go to a show in California, you had to physically go there. Now we can pull up on the computer and we can buy, trade, and sell cards without even leaving our house.
Yeah.
So the evolution of the whole thing is wild. And then now, I mean, I don't know how familiar you guys are with the whole thing, but the hobby's going into a transition where this company Fanatics is pretty much taking the whole thing over, and they're supposedly going to be taking this to the next level, putting cards anywhere and everywhere. So
like the Jersey Fanatics.
Yep, the Jersey Fanatics. Yeah,
Gotcha.
yeah, those people. Yeah, they're going to be. You're supposedly going to see more cards in stadiums, more advertising. Just because, when's the last time you ever seen a commercial for card collecting?
It's been a while.
Can't say I have ever seen.
Right, exactly. So, and there's a lot to learn with this stuff. Like, when kids, you can learn how to take care of your stuff, learn the value of $1, learn to track the, again, if you're in it for collecting as an investment, there's stuff to be, to be learned. And again, it's just, and it's crazy because the evolution, it's every collector evolves. First you do, like, I just came in, I want to just invest and buy Michael Jordan, and you learn that buying Michael Jordan is very expensive. So, I had to come down to somebody else. And then once you buy those pieces, then you kind of evolve into buying stuff that you liked as when you were a kid. So like my collection is kind of a little bit of investment and a little bit of stuff that I liked it when I was coming up. That's probably not worth much, but to me it is.
Yeah.
Sure.
So
do you guys, I know you guys mentioned Michael Jordan a lot. So it kind of brings me to a lot of my friends that collect the shoes. Do you guys run into, how, like if you take a shoe and you want to trade it into one of these sneaker shops and they're like, no, these are fake, get them out of here, you don't have the box. Does any of that kind of go with cards? Like, do you have to have the box? Do you have to have certain, like things to realize that they're not fake? Because they're getting better with fake shoes. I don't know if you guys collect shoes or not, but you can almost get any pair of Jordans and they look like identical to the real pair.
Yeah. Yeah, that's definitely a problem, and it has always been in the hobby, collecting cards. Anytime you can go ahead and be a swindler, there's just people out there that are crazy, man. They'll do whatever they can to make a buck. Greed is a serious problem.
Yeah,
and people are willing to sell their soul for it. So yes, cards definitely. You can think you have 86 Fleer Michael Jordan that we just spoke of. There's people out there that there's cards that look exactly you have to literally get a magnifying glass and check certain aspects of the card to know, oh, look at that little flag right there. That should be a darker yellow. And look at the back of this card. See right there, that circle, it shouldn't be filled in like that. It should be more of a gap. But the nuance, it's crazy. Like to a regular person, they're like, oh my God, look at this Michael Jordan rookie. Yeah, look, normally that card, that goes for, $6,000. I'll sell it to you for $3,000. Knowing damn well it's not worth a penny. The guy just made it in his back room. But if you don't know, you're gonna get got. And definitely, and what the card companies have been doing, they come up with grading. So, for example, you can get these cards, what they call them, get them slabbed up, and then you get a grade on them, and they authenticate the card. So, the people, these graders out there, whether, the main card company that does grading is PSA. So, you send them the card, you got to pay a service fee. So, for example, now it's $15 a card to get it graded, but then they can authenticate it, get it slabbed up so it's protected. And now you're able to, as a seller, say, listen, this is a legit card. It's real, it's PSA certified. And, then it's graded a 10. Now you have a scale. There's scales out there that people can see, they can look at the comps and say, oh, a PSA graded 10 Michael Jordan card is going for, $250,000. Okay, that's legit. I'll pay that. I know that's worth that. And the card values, it's a market, so it's going to fluctuate up and down. But once you have it graded, you're good to go pretty much.
Okay, yeah, that's awesome. And are you guys from Philadelphia?
No, so we're from Reading, Pennsylvania. We're like an hour west of Philadelphia, but we, big, as you can see, we like our Eagles, we like our Sixers, fly, all that. So
big season for you guys.
Yeah. Had a tough last night.
Yeah, that bullshit call. I saw it.
Well, that was the least of their problems. They had other, for some reason our defense decided to stay at home and just send somebody out there. I don't know who that was, but
I'm not even an Eagles fan, but when he grabbed that dude's face mask and tripped on it had me mad. About broke the TV.
And now he's hurt. He's out. He hurt his shoulder. Yeah, really? He's out for a while. So now not only did we, get the fumble and lose the game, now you hurt the guy and he's out, hurt his shoulder. So
damn,
that's a rough one.
Yeah, it's tough.
I guess that makes me kind of wonder too. So has collecting maybe changed even the way you view the sports that you kind of already loved?
Yeah, I'll let I talk on that.
You know what? Now you're putting your money where your mouth is. You know what I mean? Before you could just talk crap and let the chip fall where they may. But now, especially if you're investing in the guy, say like a Jalen Hurts, so 2 years ago, Jalen Hurts to be the quarterback for the Eagles, we had Carson Wentz, he kept getting hurt. Howie Roseman, general manager, goes ahead and gets Hurts in the second round. Everybody's up in arms, like, what are you doing? We just got our franchise quarterback with Wentz. Why would you go ahead and grab Hurts in the second round? What does this mean? This is the stupidest thing you've ever done. So, Howie Roseman then is, he's on the chopping block. Carson Wentz doesn't know what to do. Then, you got Jalen Hurts, and he's a good running quarterback. Can he really throw the ball? So anybody that started say, you know what, maybe this Jalen Hurts guy, maybe I can get him cheap right now. Everybody thinks he's not that good. Let me get some of his cards. So if you invested in Jalen Hurts when he first came into the league, got his cards for next to nothing. Now there's cards that he's selling for what, Tone? 25K,
they're up
30K, some for 50K.
Really?
Which you could have got those cards, on the cheap. $100, $1,500. It would, like, back when he got in the league, you're like, damn, $100, that's a lot of money, or $1,500. But in the back of your mind, if you have that, mentality, like, I know this guy's going to be good. I've been watching him in college, and I have faith that if the Eagles put him in there, he's going to be a good player. You just took that $1,500 and you flipped it into $50K. Everything is good in the world,
Wow.
So it can happen, It's tough. Prospecting is a tough game because for every Jalen Hurts, there's other guys out there that who's a piece of crap quarterback that,
some scrub, but
what's his name from the Patriots? Mac Jones.
Mac Jones,
he was hyped up, and now he's lost his job a couple times. Now he's back again, and so that's a bit of a gamble when you do stuff like that. Conversely, on the whole other end of the spectrum is kind of what I collect, and it's vintage baseball. So this guy here, is the guy I kind of collect a lot. That's Roberto Clemente.
Okay.
Yeah,
He's
yeah.
you know, big kind of legend in baseball. Where these cards, you don't have, like I says, where you don't have those big swings where it's $100 card can turn into $100,000 card. Where these cards are kind of just slow and steady,
Mhm.
and they'll go up and they'll go down. They don't always go up forever, but they don't have the big swings that modern cards do. So there's different ways you can go about collecting if you're in it for the investment side. You can, like he said, you can try and gamble early and hope that you hit, or you can go through the vintage side where these guys are tried and true, and you know that over time these cards are just gonna little by little creep up.
It's like
The
the
mu-
mutual fund of
yeah,
Yeah,
cards.
mutual
exactly.
funds,
Yeah,
exactly.
yeah. This is a mutual fund, and then what he's talking about is
Jalen Hurts is Shiba.
yeah,
Yeah,
basically. Yeah.
crypto, you know.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
like
yeah.
crypto. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I got you. That makes a
So-
lot of sense, though.
So for you, Tony, though, would you be like then hoping that one of them goes into Cooperstown? Like that's kind of the one chance if that were to get a boost.
Yeah. With I mean, like, Clemente, he's already, but like, say you bought
Sure.
somebody like I don't know, some guy that was not 90s is too late. Most of the guys are in the Hall of Fame. But
Yeah,
if you bought a guy who played in the early 2000s, who then is gonna there is a bump up for the Hall of Fame and things like that. So yeah, you can buy a guy, I don't know. Well, Albert Pujols, he's just recently he's gonna retire. He's probably a little more expensive, but somebody like that who is a shoe in for, like Miguel Cabrera is a guy at Detroit Tigers. That he's guy's amazing. He doesn't get the pub that Pujols gets, but if you stack up his numbers are pretty impressive. So then he's going to be a guy who's going to get an uptick when he's no doubt Hall of Famer. So that's a guy that you can get in and maybe
And even guys that are in the Hall of Fame, for example, which is a rare case, but Willie Mays, who's one of the greatest baseball players ever, he's still alive,
Yeah.
So unfortunately in this hobby, once somebody passes away, there's a bump in card value, because then everybody's like, damn, Willie Mays, I got to get me a card,
Yeah.
So right now, little tip, if anybody's interested, Willie Mays cards, they're expensive, but if you wanted to make a little investment, you can grab a Willie Mays, and I guarantee you, once he passes, those cards, that's when you got to put them quick on eBay. Once you hear, oh man, Willie Mays passed away, you put your card on eBay, I guarantee you'll make a little profit.
That's
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah, it sounds kind of cryptic and sick.
Yeah.
But it is.
Yeah,
It is what it is. You'll see a quick uptick when they pass, and and then after a while it'll come back down a little bit. But that floor should be higher than what it initially was. Before, ideally before you bought the card. If you want to get into that, or you just collect it and put it away, and 20, 30 years from now you have it.
What about like a guy like a guy that not necessarily was like the best player, but like a guy like Johnny Manziel, a guy that had like a bunch of alcohol issues in college, kind of went to the Cleveland Browns, maybe made a few plays that were good, and then kind of just exited, went to the maybe XFL after that, I think.
Yeah.
Does his card still slowly, like even though he's out of league, or is he just a complete bust, or how does that work with a player like that?
I don't know his market for sure now, but yeah, nobody. I mean, if the people I'm around, nobody's clamoring for Money Manziel.
It's done.
Now, granted, he just was at a card show. He was here recently at the Philly Card Show signing autographs. So they're still, because he's still an attraction, and there probably are cards of his, rookie cards or very short print cards that might be worth something to somebody. But as far as like mainstream people looking for it, no, not at all. I mean, not a lot, but again, there might be a card or two that somebody might be after. But yeah, other than people down in A&M, maybe I don't know
that's the thing too, you'd be surprised, like people collect anybody and everybody. The crappiest players out there, there's player collectors of that certain, and they take pride in it. And what they love about it is they can get all the cards that, say, if you can get a Michael Jordan that's 250,000, they'll get that same exact card, not of Michael Jordan, but of that crappy player. It's still that quote unquote expensive card, but you can get it for $10 because nobody gives a crap about that specific player. But there's a market for everybody, but you depending on the tier of the athlete, like Johnny Manziel, he panned out, like you said, he was a bust. So unless there's a person like you have an exclusive card, like a 101 card where there was only one of them made, and that person needs to complete their collection, then you might say, oh, now you have them by the balls, like, this, I know you want this,
Yeah.
$5,000,
Yeah.
depending on who it is, they might pay it, but 9 times out of 10, you're not going to get anywhere near that.
Got it.
Yeah,
Got it.
and like piggybacking off of that, like he says, like for instance, Upper Deck, they make a set. It's called Exquisite,
Mhm.
and that's one of their higher end sets. So like a LeBron James Exquisite card is worth hundreds of thousands of dollars if you got the right one.
Yeah.
So for example, like he's saying, I got Donovan McNabb Exquisite, and it looks like that. And these cards, that's an actual patch from his uniform.
Yeah.
So while to the average collector, like, oh, Donovan McNabb, who cares? But it's the set that brings, like I said, it's a nice set that people chase. And for me, I like it because it's my guy. So that's kind of my version of Johnny Manziel.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, and that card definitely looked really cool, even seeing on the small screen. So
yeah, so
I can get that.
Yeah. So yeah, you can always go after, like you said, you can if you don't want to go after the big high end guy, but you can get something in that set of somebody else, and it'll be a cool get.
Well, that's awesome, man.
Is there I'm just curious because obviously you collect from all kinds of sports. Is there any major difference between kind of the cards, for either any of the sports, or is it kind of more homogenized now?
Yes and no, but for every sport, you're gonna have goats. You know what I mean? The greatest of all time. So, for example, hockey. Hockey's a very niche sport, and there's not many hockey collectors. There's a lot, but compared to overall, say, a basketball or a football, hockey's kind of like 4th tier, 5th tier when it comes to overall collecting. But then you go ahead and purchase a Wayne Gretzky, who's the greatest of all time. That specific car is going to be on par with a Michael Jordan. But the rest of the cards, not so much. But there's ones that are, the most prominent. Basketball comes to mind, football, baseball obviously is the granddaddy of them all. And that's where the majority of that's what the hobby's based on. It's baseball, all the vintage cards. They started with, with the tobacco cards back in the day. The Honus Wagner. I don't know if you guys ever heard of that card, which is like one of the most expensive cards. And then you talk about the 52 Mantle. So the hobbies, that's the backbone of it. So then it went from baseball cards to basketball, then the football, and then you start getting into a little bit of hockey, and then you have the real niche, the F1 racing, you have soccer, you have wrestling, so then it starts getting, and for each individual one, there's cars that are worth $5, and then there's cars that are worth 500,000, and that's literally how it is.
Yeah, Pokemon
500,000 for real.
Okay.
Yes, for real.
Yeah,
That's
it's crazy,
crazy.
man. Yeah, it's.
Have
If I told you, you're familiar with Luka Doncic?
Yeah,
From Dallas
the
Mavericks?
Yeah.
Yeah. So what is he? Is his 4th year or 5th year?
Something like that.
So let's just say it's his 4th year. His rookie card, a specific one, which was a 101 logo, man, which means the actual logo, the NBA logo, the Jerry West, the silhouette, they cut that patch out, put it in a card. There's only one of them, and it's signed by him. Sold for a record $4.2 million 2 years ago.
That's
so
crazy.
This dude has not won a goddamn championship. He hasn't won. I don't think he won. Did he win what, a series maybe?
One series this past last
no
season.
No MVPs, no scoring titles, but his card sold for $4.2 million. Like, it's insane what some of these cards go for.
Yeah,
that's crazy.
You know how like in crypto where they were hyping up by this this drawing of whatever.
Yeah.
And a lot of that is hype driven. I mean, I'm not an expert on it, but it's very similar to what I see in cards. And Luka is one of those guys where, like you said, he hasn't really done that's the thing about cards. It's very hype narrative driven. Sometimes the results of what people do, like, it's crazy what there's cards of guys that haven't done nothing that go 3-4 times the amount of guys who have won and been successful. So it's a very there's a lot of things to look out for when you get into cards, and the best thing to do is just lean on somebody who's been doing it for a while, and the community as a whole. The community is a really nice community, and they do help, and they call out the BS when it needs to be, and it's a nice place to be in.
Yeah. Have you guys ever heard of Gary V?
Oh yeah.
Is he
We met Gary
is he
Vee.
actually oh really?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was my next question. I was going to ask, is he, does he just say that as a way to like side hustle, or is he actually big in the sports card world?
Yeah.
Because
Nah,
I don't personally know.
Gary's huge into sports cards. He
Really?
collected as a kid. Yeah, Gary's a hustler, man. Gary's
Yeah.
the ultimate hustler. You know that. Like, if anybody knows about Gary Vee, you know how much of a hustler he is. He does was it garage sales, and he'll pick up freaking dolls that for 50 cents, and then he'll put them on eBay and sell them for $10, and he's worth what $180 million, and he's clapping and having fun getting a $10 profit, and that's just the
Yeah.
kind of guy he is. So at the last card show, which is kind of like the Super Bowl of the hobby, the National, which they had
Yeah.
in Atlantic City this year, so Tony and I we attended it, and Gary Vee was there. So we went, talked to him a little bit, got a picture with him. Really cool dude. He had actually lost his voice from talking to so many people. But yeah, he's behind his booth. He's selling cards. He's taking pictures. He's shaking hands. So yeah, Gary's real into it, man. And a big reason why Tony actually joined and got on board with me was because of Gary Vee, because he put out a bunch of content a couple years back, and he just broke it down. And I said, Tom, I said, look, you don't gotta listen to me. I said, listen to this guy. He's worth
Yeah.
this amount of money. Listen to these couple videos, what he's saying. I said, if after that you don't want to do it, cool. And then he listened, and here we are.
Yeah.
Gary Vee.
It took me
Gary
some
Vee's
time though
history.
at first, and I wasn't drinking all of Gary Vee's Kool-Aid. I will say that, but I'm like, I'll give it a shot. But it's been fun, man. It's like, again, the biggest thing we've gotten out of it is the relationships we built with people. Like, it's just fun.
Yeah.
We talk to people we would have never met if it wasn't for cards.
Yeah.
So
That's awesome.
yeah.
Michael, did you have any more questions?
Well, we always want to make sure that you get plenty of chance to, plug all the places to find you all. I don't know how many card collectors, but future, if nothing else, after this episode, maybe listening. So yeah, how can people kind of listen and watch you all?
So we have a podcast that comes out every Monday. It's called the Cousins Collectibles Podcast. And Oz is rocking the shirt. The thing I will say about our podcast, though, it's about cards, but it's, again, more than that. Like, we talk life stuff. We talk about what things mean to you, how to be a better person. Like, it extends a little past just, hey, here's this card. How much is it worth? Like, so just, check it out. There's a couple episodes in there. Sometimes we talk about toys. We talk about art, like all kinds of stuff where people just, again, it's the collecting and what it means to you and where it goes. So yeah, our podcast is a Cousins Collectibles podcast, releases every Monday on podcast form, every Apple, all that stuff. And then on Thursdays, we release that episode video form on YouTube. And, we can find us Instagram at Cousins_collectibles. And Oz, he's at Oz_the_peoples_mailman. And yes, he's a real mailman.
The
He said
people's
a real
mailman.
one.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
And yeah, we'll put links to that all below. But yeah, we appreciate it so much. I know this has been enlightening for both John and I, but it's always awesome to talk to people about something they're so passionate about, and great fellow podcasters, YouTubers, and the like.
Yeah.
I
You guys are
appreciate that.
super dope, man. Keep it up. That's awesome.
Thank you.
appreciate
We
you
appreciate
guys.
coming on board, man. This
Yes,
was
sir.
fun. Didn't know what to expect. I'm like, Tone, what are we getting ourselves into, bro?
That's the hard part about starting out and reaching out to people. You're like, hey man, come be on my show. I got like 40 subscribers. Like, come take me serious for a little bit.
Yeah, that's everybody starts with one subscriber. We like now, because we have most of our following is on Instagram, and it's not huge compared to other people, but I'm like, dude, if you have one, like, who are we to see? If we can do it, absolutely. Like, let's just talk, whatever. Like, who the heck are we? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, we're just having fun. Like I said, we're not getting paid for this. We're not making any money. We're just two old heads just talking about cars and sports and just bugging out. And that's it, man. And what I recommend, just check it out. Like I said, we're approaching 50 episodes. Just binge it all. And then if you like it, let us know. And if you hate it, let us know. But either way, just listen.
Just listen.
Yeah.
Sure.
For sure.
Yeah. Well, yeah, we appreciate you all again. And yeah, it's been a pleasure.
Thank you.
Nice meeting y'all.
Nice
Take
meeting you.
care.